don't know about this. This outfit doesn't seem too professional for the dumpster fire television. The dumpster fire television show. I don't know. Maybe if I cross my legs like that, is that a good look? Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the first edition of the Dumpster Fire television show. I'm here with my co-host Maui, and Maui was in the middle of chewing a bone, so I'm gonna let her down. I love you, sweetheart. Sweetheart forever. I love you forever. Thank you for starting off the show on a good note. Anyway, so I just got done seeing, I just finished watching This Is the Tom Green documentary on Amazon Prime, and I must say that I thoroughly enjoyed it. Well, she's really loud right now with it. Maui, can you just drop it down a notch with the chewing? It's a little bit loud. I just finished watching This is the Tom Green documentary that Tom directed. This documentary basically chronicles Tom's early days of broadcasting, going back to college radio. It even brings back some of the faces from the early days, not just from radio, his radio days, but his public access days. I mean, you're seeing people like Darcy, you're seeing people like Phil Giroux. Everybody remembers Phil Giroux. And the big one, Glenn Humplik. I think Tom said it on screen that that was the first time that they've been on screen together in over 20 years at this point, I guess. But crazy to see them, and great to see them together again. I know Glenn I speak with pretty frequently, and he's in Mexico City right now, or Mexico City right now. I don't know what part right now. Porta, one of the portas right now, one of those portas with the beautiful blue water and the lush scenery. He's there right now. He also went to a Lucha Libre event, which we'll be talking about all that, including the documentary, when we have Glenn on the show, the RueTV show, for a fourth time, record-breaking fourth time, very shortly. But I really enjoyed this documentary. Parents are in it, heavily featured, Richard and Mary Jane Green. These are some takeaways. Pretty much everything is covered. Everything from his early days in radio, like I said, to public access, to all of the incarnations on Canadian television, up to the Comedy Network, moving on to MTV in the States, and then, of course, even further than that, they cover the new Tom Green show, the Webovision era, which we'll talk about in a second, and, of course, the Access TV talk show. There may have been one little time lapse there that they forgot to bring up, and it was in summer of 2015 when the Access TV show had ended, and Tom still had that warehouse that he rented out in Hollywood. I don't know, maybe it was Burbank. And there was a summer of Webovision. I can't tell you how much that initial show meant to me growing up. I was a senior in high school when the Tom Green show premiered on MTV, and that was the first time I saw it. And I had seen nothing like that. I was an SNL fan for years. The hardest I laughed in my life, outside of inside jokes with family members, was SNL, until the Tom Green show started, Thursday nights on MTV. And you know what? How big of a fan I was of pro wrestling. This show went head to head with SmackDown in '99 when it first started. If anything could pull me away from pro wrestling, it was certainly this amazing, groundbreaking comedy show that had me laughing so hard my insides hurt. I mean, to the point where my parents would come in the room and say, well, your brothers are trying to sleep. Justin's trying to sleep. But Justin loved the show too. Kevin's got to get up. He's got a basketball game tomorrow night. What are you doing? and I would just I couldn't help it. I couldn't help it. It was like a drug. The drug and the dopamine comedic the rush you would get from watching those. I had never seen anything like that before. You know, a lot of people who would follow it maybe from the Canadian days, you know, was people around here never seen anything like that before. Real reactions, real people. And one thing that Glenn brought up in the New York Times article, not so much in the documentary, but there's a great New York Times article you can read. One of the things, hopefully this mic is not, yeah, can you hear me? Well, okay. One of the things that Glenn brought up in the New York Times article was, you know, this was very, it wasn't just gross out humor for gross out sake. It wasn't just pranks for prank's sake. It was very, very smart, intelligent. You know, on the surface, if you didn't get it, you're probably not going to understand what I'm talking about. But it's, comparatively speaking, in the broad scheme of reality comedy, it was very, very smart. Tom knew exactly what he was doing. Everything was calculated. I'm glad that it got its just due with this documentary. You know, Tom got a little emotional during this. I remember there was a sit down with Glenn at the table. They were drinking beers, and Tom was kind of like looking at the transition stages of his life from there to that guy to the next, and the evolution of Tom as that person, having everything in the world and then everything going wrong in the next stage. Talking about, you know, he went from that to getting cancer, the show ending, his marriage ending. Well, that was the first time, you know, I've been watching media with Tom Green since, you know, '99, and then I backtracked and watched all the clips that they heard from the Canadian show. I've seen, I mean, prior to this, even prior to this being released. This is the Tom Green Inside and Outside the Box set of the Canadian show. I mean, I had bootleg copies of stuff I got off eBay before that came out in 2005. I had a lot of obscure stuff from Tom, and I had never ever. I'm trying to think. Maybe never, not even on Webovision. I never even saw him get emotional when just ever, and he got emotional a little bit on the. There was a moment there, and I won't spoil exactly but I definitely go check it out. I'm glad. Speaking of innovation, I'm glad that it was covered, and it was covered honestly. That okay, we don't have a problem with guys like Steve-O, you know, and who else? We won't talk about Knoxville and Bam Margera, but Steve-O, Wee Man, and you know Preston Lacey, guys like that who are friends with Tom, but at the same time being honest with the fact that they really, you know, wouldn't exist if it wasn't for Tom. You know, in one way or another, through inspiration or through the show stopping. You know, MTV had a programming home fall of 2000, and they brought in that CKY crew and turned it into basically a Tom Green show on steroids, more physical, of course. But I always thought that, you know, I always thought that it was different. Similar, ripped off a lot of bits, but I'm glad that that was covered. I'm glad that was talked about because that was a big thing that I always was adamant about, you know, when the shift happened. But the Webovision era, again, very soft spot for me. I'm glad that was talked about and how innovative that was. Anything you see today, you know, I'm broadcasting from my, you know, Maui's laying down right here, broadcasting from my, if I wanted to go live with this, I could. But the strange thing is all those cameras, all those wires in Tom's living room, all those tally lights, everything, now everything is basically just Webovision. Everyone has Webovision now in their pockets, and you can have Webovision wherever you want. It's sad, it's awesome, but it's also sad because I was there for those early days. I was there prior to those days on the website. That's how Tom and I connected in those early days. And then later as a WebOvision deputy. Shout out to a lot of people around that time who were members who were in at the ground level. That's the reason I bought a video camera, and that's the reason I made a YouTube channel. Was initially was to get content for Tom's website, and that's more, to this day. What am I talking on right now? The same YouTube channel from 2006. And, not only was Tom directly responsible, Tom, for that, for the creation and me blowing money on a camera, Tom's directly responsible for an inspiration. I mean, I, that comedy was so unique that, you could take inspirations from other places, but when you take inspiration from when you get inspired by somebody like Tom Green, Eric Andre was another one who was they ran his clip in the Access show that, honest, brutally honest, the tearing up of the set, the style, that's all Tom. That's basically all Tom. And it was interesting seeing Tom pay homage to some of his inspirations, like David Letterman, who did a lot of man on the street stuff. I didn't see a lot of that. I remember staying up with my parents. I mean, I watched Dave later, after the fact, but early on in the 80s, I was young, so I didn't get to stay up too much and watch it. But I do remember watching a little bit of Dave. I remember tossing watermelons, but I don't remember too much of the man on the street stuff. So it was cool to see him pay homage to Dave Letterman, give him his flowers, and then later actually hosting the show. But I do kind of feel a little sad, it's I guess sad isn't the word, just I guess nostalgic and missing and yearning for the old days, as I really do. That summer of 2006, 2007, 2008, those were some special times. Those were some groundbreaking times that changed the culture. They literally changed the culture, and I was proud to be a part of it, a small part, and it those early days with Annie and Steve, his old dogs, and that old house. Wonder who lives there now, because they're living in a very, very historic spot that will forever be remembered. I mean, like I said, the majority of this Tom Green show, a small portion dedicated to WebOvision, but it does give its just due and its flowers. Overall, I loved it. I can't wait to talk more about this with Glenn on the show very soon. Glenn comes back in one piece from Mexico. I told him to not drink the water. In preparation, he did bring and take some preemptive diarrhea and cholera medicine. Not making that up. It's a smart man. Glenn's a smart man. Going to be a 4-time guest on RueTV. You can be a 4-time guest on RueTV and not be a smart man. Glenn's a smart man. I am not a smart man. Okay? So, but yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I just want to say, 4 stars, 5 stars up. I didn't expect to get that sentimental. I thought I was going to be entertained, but I didn't expect to get as sentimental as I did about it. Because Tom was a very big influence and inspiration to me in terms of the things that I create in my life. And I'm not alone. There's a lot of Tom Green babies around, and it's a shame. It's again, I'm going to use that kind of phrase. It's awesome, but it's also a shame that with the TikTok generation, and I'm not shitting on it. I'm just facing reality, that it can never be, that era, the Tom Green show, can really never be duplicated, because it's just, everything is now so oversaturated that nothing would stand out. So, it was a very special time, and I urge everybody to watch it. I don't have Prime. I spent the money for the month, and I'm going to be watching also. I think I'm going to rewatch some of this. I haven't seen this in years. Some of these old Canadian bits. but he's got a reality show. It's probably, I'm assuming, going to drop every episode soon on Prime. Tom Green, what is it called? Tom Green Has a Farm, or Tom Green Country? Tom Green Country, I think. And then also his stand-up special, Tom Green, I Got a Mule, is going to drop, which I think is probably the same set that I saw in Philly, which I should point out to you guys. I don't think I said this on the YouTube channel. I saw Tom in Philly with my cousin Matt, and that was one of my bucket list things that I really wanted to do, because I've met Tom numerous times in Philly throughout the years, and always gracious, always remembers me from the Webovision days. And but one thing that I always wanted to check off my bucket list was to get my cousin Matt, because he was just the biggest fan, introduced and to meet Tom, and he was able to do that. And I'm very happy that that happened, and just happy that what a great hour and a half that was. All right, I've rambled long enough. Maui's sleeping. Let's. You want to pick her up and say goodbye? Let's say goodnight. Let's say goodnight. We gotta go. Get up. Get your butt up. Butt up. We gotta say goodnight to the people. We gotta say goodnight to the people, Maui. Okay. See you later in the first episode of the Dumpster Fire TV show. It's RueTV. I don't know why I did this. Change the name. Why did I change the name? Why did I change the name?